It's Motivation Monday, and this week we're taking you to the biggest little secret in the tri-state area, Franklin Mountain State Park.
I just think it's kind of weird in a way how just people come from other places just be here when people from here don't even know that it's here.
We take a look at the trails, both for hiking and biking.
It could be a world-class destination. The hiking trails along the ridge are beautiful. You get up there, you're in the middle of nowhere, yet you look on both sides and you can see the city.
If you want to engage your brain at the next level while hiking, we'll take a look at geocaching in the Franklins.
This is where we are.
Okay.
We need to go to that point.
Okay.
Geocaching is a seek and find game that has evolved from old school GPS systems to phone apps for Androids and iPhones.
It's primitive camping. There's no water, there's no electricity. There's 5 RV spots, but again, there's no hookups for those. So everything has to be self-contained. But at the same time, it's being so primitive, it just gives you that sense of being in the wilderness.
And we'll take a look at camping and the trend of glamping.
And we've actually gone from Wisconsin down to Texas.
So join us this week as we explore how to take advantage of 37 square miles of desert wilderness and 125 miles of multi-use trails right in your own backyard. KFOX 14, Carpe Diem.
This one is the largest urban wilderness park in the entire nation. It's over 26,000 acres in size, and it's all surrounded by the city of El Paso.
The superintendent of the Franklin Mountain State Park isn't the only one who thinks this vast wilderness is a jewel in our backyard.
I've seen some people from Georgia, Colorado, Louisiana, all these cool places.
The park sees about 50,000 visitors a year, most from out of state.
I think people come here because it's really, really pretty out here, and I don't think a lot of people from El Paso really know it's here.
Carlos is 11, and to put it in his words, he says it's weird more locals don't take advantage of the trails.
What other city is divided by a huge mountain range like the Franklin Mountains?
The trails at the park are marked for different levels, from beginners to advanced.
You don't have to kill yourself if you don't feel like it. And you get a great workout.
There are also guided tours in case you're a little intimidated by the vast wilderness, even if it is marked.
With 100 miles of trails, I mean, you have really many options to do. You can hike for all day long and still not cover 1/10 of the park.
And there are maps available at the ranger booth where you have to stop and pay $5 to enter.
Morning, how y'all doing today?
It's a very large trail system. We're talking about 100 miles of trails where people can do mountain biking or hiking or trail running.
The hiking trails along the ridge are beautiful. You get up there, you're in the middle of nowhere, yet you look on both sides and you can see the city.
Those who love the Franklin State Park say the trails stand to benefit from more local support.
It's a handful, I guess, to maintain these trails for the Park Service alone, so it helps out when people that come to the park and use it on a regular basis kind of pitch in a little bit.
It's a park that it's underutilized by the people.
And though it's for people of all ages, we found an 11-year-old put it in the best perspective of all.
And if you're on a PlayStation or an Xbox, it's more of like, oh, you're staring at a screen for like an hour or two, just watching. As if out here, you kind of just breathe in the air and you just feel like, wow, this is nature. It's really pretty out here, and you just get this feeling that's just really nice.
Tomorrow we'll show you how you can have the sleepover of a lifetime at the park. KFOX 14, Carpe Diem. If you have never set up a tent in your whole life,
If you have never come before there, we have workshops.
or you don't want to drag your family into the wilderness unprepared because you don't have a tent,
You register your family up to 6 people. It can be 5 of your friends and yourself, and then come and camp. We provide the equipment, we provide all the activities.
all you have to bring is a sleeping bag or blankets, plus food and water.
Being so primitive, it just gives you that sense of being in the wilderness, regardless you're only 10 minutes away from from the city.
What you will see and feel on an overnight campout at Franklin Mountain State Park is unparalleled.
The mountains are gorgeous, and the vegetation, we both love desert environments, and the mountains against the blue sky. I don't know, I'm speechless. I don't know how to describe it.
Diane Silverstein and her husband Michael Dietrich are not first-time campers, as you can perhaps tell. They've been at campsites between California and New York.
We actually said when we got here last night that this was one of our favorite places.
You have the park almost for yourself, and you're not camping next to each other like in many other places. Here the campsites are more spread out.
As soon as we pulled in here and just said, this is our view, we don't even want to leave this spot.
There are 19 camp spots, but if you're a glamper, you'll need to bring in your own water and electricity if you need it for your curling iron or waffle maker. If you haven't heard of glamping, Mendez says it's a growing thing.
It's not about suffering in the outdoors. It's about having this huge tent and then having your like you bring your whole bedroom to the wilderness.
But if you're okay camping the classic way, in a tent, under the stars, with a fire to keep you warm, you may want to look into the next Texas Outdoor Family event in April.
And let me tell you, we have families that have participated in 2 or 3 of those workshops because they just love it. But when they come back, they already bring their own equipment.
There's another family and friends event that is a lot of fun in the Franklin Mountains. All you need is a cell phone and a sense of adventure. We'll take a look at geocaching tomorrow. KFOX 14, Carpe Diem.
Geocaching, it's a very popular activity nowadays, using technology to basically hunt for hidden treasures.
Geocaching is a hide-and-seek game.
You can use a GPS or you can use the smartphone and downloading an app for geocaching.
And at the Franklin Mountains, a geocache hunt can make hiking a more challenging adventure.
Basically, it's telling you, okay, where you have to go to find this hidden treasure.
In the Franklin Mountains, there are dozens of hidden geocaches, and they are not allowed to be far from the trail.
One thing about the geocaching is that they're not all obvious. Some are really well hidden so that they look natural to the environment. This one we found was under a fake boulder.
And what you find in a geocache varies. Here's what we found.
And in this hidden treasure is usually is like an exchange. You can take something and then you leave something else.
The key is to take something and leave something without leaving any indication you were actually there. You trace your cache through the apps.
So that thing that you left, people keep tracking it, and you see how that thing is traveling throughout the world because it's changing from geocache to geocache.
There's a code of ethics in the geocache community, not just about how and where you leave a geocache at Franklin State Park, but what you leave there. You're supposed to check in with the rangers to let them know what you're leaving behind.
There might be stuff that it was placed here but then end up in Canada or end up in Europe somewhere just because another geocacher took it and then placed it in a different geocache.
It's just a fun way to make a hike in the Franklin Mountains a little more challenging.
Because ultimately that's what the activity is for, to bring people to the outdoors and take them to locations that otherwise they wouldn't go. But the geocache, the hidden treasure, is kind of the hook to bring them to this place.
Tomorrow is Gear Friday, and we'll take a look at the one piece of gear you should absolutely not be without on a hike. And we're not talking about your cell phone. KFOX 14, Carpe Diem. It's Gear Friday, and we've been exploring your hiking and camping options at Franklin Mountain State Park this week.
First thing is plan before you go.
Ranger Mendez is the superintendent of the park. He says he sees a lot of poor preparation and badly.
Probably more than 95% of the search and rescue across the country start with a simple day hike.
So there are a couple of things you must have besides the obvious tent, sleeping bag, and cooking necessities if you plan to camp out.
Sunscreen, it's important. You can also use a hiking stick, which it will help you, especially downhill, to support yourself.
You need proper shoes, a hat, and sun protection.
It's also important to bring either a flashlight, a mirror, or any other way of communication, because you never know what is going to happen out there.
A flashlight can be your lifeline if you're lost.
Why a flashlight? Even if you're going to start your hike at 6 a.m. in the morning, you never know if you're going to have to spend the night there or if it's going to get dark on you.
Having a flashlight can make finding you far less complicated.
Having a flashlight would expedite the rescue because you can signal the rescuers of your location.
Mendez says it's also important to make sure you tell someone where you're going before you get to the park.
Having a cell phone, it's important, but don't rely on cell phone because in these mountains, not every single canyon has coverage.
But the most important thing?
Have water. Water is the number one thing that you have to bring with you.
And he has this formula on how to know how far to go with the water you have on you.
The best advice is if you're hiking and it's not a loop hike, as soon as you are halfway your water, you should just turn around and come back the same way.
And that is where the trail ends in this week's KFOX 14 Carpe Diem.